Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The sound of my wife's laughter echoes through the house, but it doesn't reach me. It hasn't for a while now. The walls feel too close, the air thick with something I can't quite name. Maybe it's suspicion. Maybe it's fear. Either way, I'm suffocating. David? Lisa's voice is sweet, carrying that familiar hint of concern. She appears at the kitchen door, her dark hair framing her face, her eyes, those eyes I once found so full of warmth, are searching me. You okay? I force a smile, the corners of my mouth pulling up against their will. Yeah, just thinking. She leans against the doorframe, arms crossed, a slight smirk playing on her lips. About what? I hesitate, fingers tapping an irregular rhythm against the kitchen counter. I want to tell her about the knife I found in her nightstand, how it sent a cold jolt of fear down my spine. But the words stick in my throat, congealed with the residue of doubt and paranoia. Work stuff, I say instead, lying through my teeth. It's easier this way. It has been for a while. She nods, not pressing further, and disappears back into the living room. I hear the clink of glasses, the soft murmur of the TV, background noise to the tension that's become the norm in our home. It started small. Late nights at work, unexplained absences, the scent of someone else's cologne on her clothes. I brushed it off as stress, the mundane erosion of a once strong marriage. But then the dreams began, dark, violent dreams where Lisa's face morphed into something unrecognizable, her hands stained with blood. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, her side of the bed cold and empty. I told myself it was just stress, that my mind was playing tricks on me. But when I found the knife, long and sharp, tucked beneath a pile of old letters in her nightstand, the threads of my sanity began to unravel. I hadn't confronted her about it. I couldn't. I didn't know how to begin to ask why she had a weapon hidden away like that. The story of the murder in our neighborhood didn't help. A lover stabbed to death in bed by a jealous spouse, it was the talk of the town. Every whisper, every sideways glance seemed to carry an accusation. It's just a coincidence, I'd tell myself. But the coincidences were piling up, one after another, until I couldn't ignore the nagging voice in my head anymore. The cottage. That's what I needed. Some space, some distance to clear my head. I mentioned it to Lisa that night, over a quiet dinner that tasted like cardboard. A week, she asked, her fork pausing midair. Yeah, I said, forcing nonchalance. Just need to get away, do some writing. You know how it is. She tilted her head, studying me like she was reading a book in a language she hadn't mastered yet. Are you sure you're okay? Of course. The lie came too easily, and I hated myself for it. You'll be fine here. Sure, she said, the word hanging in the air like an afterthought. I'll be fine. The next morning, I packed a bag, threw it into the trunk of my car, and left without a backward glance. The drive to the cottage was supposed to be relaxing, but every mile felt like a weight pressing down on my chest. The trees that lined the road blurred into green smudges as my mind spiraled through every possible scenario, each one worse than the last. By the time I reached the cottage, my nerves were frayed. The small, secluded building by the lake had always been a refuge, a place of peace. But today, it felt like a prison, the silence too loud, the isolation too complete. I tried to settle in, to shake off the tension that clung to me like a second skin. I unpacked, made myself a cup of coffee, and sat on the porch, staring out at the water. But the peace I was seeking eluded me. My thoughts kept circling back to Lisa, to the knife, to the feeling that something was terribly wrong. My phone rang, shattering the stillness. I jumped, nearly spilling my coffee. The screen showed an unfamiliar number, but I answered anyway, my heart thudding in my chest. Hello? David? It's Mark. Mark Dawson. The voice on the other end was hurried, breathless. Listen, man, I've got some bad news. Mark was an acquaintance, someone I'd played poker with a few times, nothing more. But his tone had my stomach dropping. What's going on? It's about Lisa. My breath caught in my throat. What about her? She's been arrested, David. They're saying she's involved in the murders, the ones that have been happening around town. The police, they think she's the one behind it. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I staggered, dropping the phone. It clattered onto the wooden floor of the porch, the screen cracking. For a moment, the world went silent, the blood rushing in my ears the only sound. I picked up the phone, my hand shaking. Mark, there's got to be a mistake. I'm afraid not, he said, his voice heavy with something that sounded like pity. They have evidence, David. And witnesses. She's been seeing other men. And then, well, you know. I didn't know. I didn't want to know. My mind recoiled from the implication, from the dark shadow that was slowly overtaking everything I thought I knew about my wife. The knife. The late nights. The distant look in her eyes. It all came crashing down on me, a tidal wave of realization that left me gasping for air. She's in custody now, awaiting trial, Mark continued, his voice a distant drone. They don't think she'll get out again, David. I'm sorry, man. I hung up without saying goodbye, my hands still trembling. The world felt like it was spinning too fast, the ground unsteady beneath my feet. Lisa. My Lisa. A murderer. A monster hiding in plain sight. I sat down hard on the porch steps, staring out at the lake, but seeing nothing. The water was calm, reflecting the sky in perfect clarity, but my mind was a storm. Every memory, every conversation, every touch now tainted with the horror of what I'd just learned. The phone rang again, but I ignored it, unable to face the reality that was clawing at the edges of my sanity. The silence returned, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the silence of something waiting in the dark, something I'd never truly known was there. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the water, I made a decision. I would go back. I had to see her, had to look into her eyes and ask the questions that were tearing me apart. The questions I'd been too afraid to ask before. Who are you, Lisa? What have you done? And, perhaps most terrifying of all, what was I going to do now? The night settled in, but sleep wouldn't come. I stayed on the porch, the darkness a heavy blanket over the landscape, my thoughts a tangled web of fear, anger, and a creeping sense of betrayal. By morning, I knew there was no going back to the way things were. The life I'd known was over. The woman I'd loved was gone, replaced by a stranger I was afraid to face. But face her I would. Because some questions need answers, no matter how much they might destroy you. The drive back from the cottage feels like a fever dream, the road twisting beneath my tires, the trees blurring into a dark smear on either side. My hands grip the steering wheel so tight my knuckles ache, but I can't ease up. The world outside is quiet, too quiet, as if the very air is holding its breath, waiting for something to shatter the silence. As I pull into our driveway, I see the police tape stretched across the front door like a macabre decoration. A squad car is parked on the street, its lights off, a silent sentinel. My heart pounds against my ribcage, the gravity of what's happening finally sinking in. This is real. This is happening. I barely have the car in park before I'm out, striding up to the house, my mind a chaotic mess of questions and fears. A uniformed officer steps forward, hand raised to stop me. "Sir, you can't go in there," he says, his tone firm but not unkind. "This is my house," I snap, the words harsher than I intend. "My wife." "I'm sorry, but we're conducting an investigation. You need to stay back." He blocks my path, and I can see the resolve in his eyes. There's no way he's letting me through. "David." A voice calls out, and I turn to see Mark hurrying up the sidewalk. His face is pale, worry lines creasing his forehead. He's still in the same rumpled clothes I saw him in at the last poker game, looking like he hasn't slept in days. "Mark, what the hell is going on?" I demand, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and fear. "Why is my house taped off? Where's Lisa?" He takes a deep breath, placing a hand on my shoulder, guiding me away from the house. "Let's talk over here, away from prying eyes." We move to the side of the house, out of view of the squad car. I can hear the murmur of voices from the officers inside, the crackle of a radio. It all feels surreal, like I've stepped into someone else's nightmare. "David, I'm sorry you had to find out like this," Mark begins, his voice low. "Lisa, there's no easy way to say this, but the police believe she's involved in multiple murders." "They're wrong," I cut him off, shaking my head vehemently. "Lisa wouldn't, she couldn't." "They have evidence, David," he interrupts, his eyes filled with pity. "Her fingerprints were found on the knife used in the murder of that guy, Steve Barlow. You know, the one from the neighborhood. And they found traces of his blood in her car." I stumble back a step, my mind reeling. Steve Barlow. I barely knew him, just a face in the crowd at neighborhood gatherings, but now his name is seared into my brain, tied to Lisa in a way that makes my skin crawl. "That doesn't prove anything," I argue, grasping at straws. "There must be an explanation. Maybe she's being framed." "David," Mark says gently, but firmly. "There's more. They found a journal in her office, with details about the men she was seeing. The things she wrote." "No," the word is a broken whisper. "I can't believe it. I won't. This isn't the woman I married. This isn't my Lisa." As I stand there, my world unraveling at the seams, a car pulls up to the curb. The door opens, and out steps a tall, imposing figure in a dark suit. His face is hard, lined with years of dealing with the worst humanity has to offer. Detective Alan Foster. I recognize him from the news, a man known for his relentless pursuit of justice, no matter the cost. He approaches with the measured steps of someone who's been here too many times before. "Mr. Carter," he says, nodding to me. "I'm Detective Foster. I'm leading the investigation." "Detective," I manage to say, my voice thin, barely holding it together. "There's been a mistake. My wife isn't a killer." Foster's eyes are cold, calculating as he studies me. "I understand this is hard to accept, but we have substantial evidence linking your wife to multiple homicides. This isn't just about one murder, Mr. Carter. We're talking about a pattern, a series of premeditated killings." The words hit me like a sledgehammer. I stare at him, trying to find some crack in his demeanor, some indication that he's wrong. But there's nothing. Just a grim, unyielding certainty. "I need to see her," I say, my voice trembling. "I need to talk to her." Foster hesitates, then nods. "She's being held at the precinct. I'll arrange for you to see her, but I must warn you, it won't be easy." Nothing about this is easy. The drive to the precinct feels like an eternity, Mark at the wheel while I sit in the passenger seat, numb and silent. He doesn't say much, just gives me a few reassuring pats on the back, but it does little to calm the storm raging inside me. When we arrive, Foster is waiting, leading me through the sterile corridors of the police station. The walls close in around me, the fluorescent lights harsh and unforgiving. I feel like I'm walking through a tunnel with no end in sight. Finally, we reach a small, dimly lit room. A table, 2 chairs, a one-way mirror. Foster nods to me, and I take a deep breath before stepping inside. Lisa is sitting at the table, her hands cuffed in front of her, her hair disheveled, eyes hollow. She looks up as I enter, and for a moment, the woman I fell in love with is there, in those eyes. But it's fleeting, gone before I can grasp it. "David," she says, her voice a broken whisper. "I'm so sorry. I sit down across from her, my hands trembling as I reach for hers. The metal of the cuffs is cold against my skin, a stark reminder of the reality we're in. Lisa, tell me this isn't true. Tell me there's some mistake. She looks down, tears slipping from her eyes, splashing onto the table. I never wanted you to find out. Not like this. Find out what? I demand, my voice rising with desperation. Lisa, what have you done? Her shoulders shake with silent sobs, and she finally meets my gaze. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. It just happened. I was so angry, so hurt, and they made it so easy. My heart sinks, the truth creeping in like a poison. Lisa, you have to tell them it's not true. We can fight this. No, David, she cuts me off, her voice firm now, a sliver of the woman I knew coming through. It's over. I can't fight this. I don't want to fight it anymore. Why? The question escapes me, raw and pained. Why did you do it? She shakes her head, her eyes haunted. I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I lost control. It's like something else took over, and I couldn't stop it. I sit back, the weight of her words crushing me. This isn't the woman I married. This is someone else, something else, and I don't know how to reconcile that with the person I've loved for so long. Foster steps into the room, his presence a cold reminder of the world outside this small, dark space. We need to wrap this up, he says, his tone leaving no room for argument. I nod, my mind a foggy mess of emotions. I lean forward, my forehead resting against hers, our breath mingling in the small space between us. I love you, I whisper, the words a last, desperate attempt to hold on to something, anything. I love you too, she whispers back, her voice breaking. But you need to let me go. I pull back, my vision blurred with tears. I stand, turning away before I can see her cry, before I can see the last remnants of the woman I knew disappear. As I walk out of the room, the door closing behind me with a final, echoing click, I realize I've lost more than just my wife. I've lost a part of myself, a part one don't know if I'll ever get back. Foster walks beside me, silent until we reach the exit. He stops, turning to face me. This is going to be a long process, Mr. Carter. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I nod, unable to find the words to respond. The door opens, and the outside world hits me like a wall of cold air. I step out, Mark waiting by the car, his expression a mix of sympathy and helplessness. As I get into the car, I look back at the precinct, the building looming over me like a shadow I can't escape. I know this is just the beginning of something far darker and more twisted than I ever could have imagined. And as we drive away, I can't shake the feeling that I'm leaving a part of myself behind, locked away with the woman I thought I knew. The days blur into each other after I leave the precinct. My mind is trapped in a loop, replaying Lisa's haunted expression, her whispered confession. I barely sleep, barely eat, just drift through the house that's no longer a home, haunted by the ghosts of my own memories. The phone rings incessantly, reporters, neighbors, well-meaning friends who want to offer their sympathy, their disbelief. I ignore them all. I can't face anyone. Not yet. On the third day, I'm sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the television that's been off for hours, when a knock on the door startles me. It's loud, insistent, like the person on the other side won't be ignored. Reluctantly, I drag myself to the door and open it. Mark stands there, his expression a mixture of concern and determination. Behind him is another familiar face, Detective Foster, looking just as grim as the last time I saw him. David, Mark says, his voice carefully neutral, like he's afraid I'll shatter if he speaks too loudly. Can we come in? I hesitate, but then step aside, letting them enter. They move into the living room, taking seats on the couch. I remain standing, suddenly feeling like a stranger in my own house. What's this about? I ask, my voice rough from days of silence. Foster leans forward, his elbows resting on his knees. We need to talk, David. There are some things you need to know. About Lisa? I ask, though the answer is obvious. Yes, and about the investigation, Foster replies. We've uncovered some disturbing details. My stomach twists, a knot of fear tightening inside me. I don't want to know, but I can't avoid it. I sit down across from them, bracing myself for whatever comes next. We've been going through Lisa's records, her phone, her emails, Foster begins. We found more connections to the victims than we initially realized. This isn't just about a few affairs gone wrong. It's something deeper. What do you mean? I ask, though I'm not sure I want the answer. Mark clears his throat, looking uncomfortable. David, we've known each other for a while, and I've always thought of you as a friend. That's why I need to be honest with you. The things we found, they point to something premeditated. Lisa was planning these murders. No, I say immediately, shaking my head. She told me she lost control, that it wasn't her. David, listen to me, Mark interrupts, his tone gentle but firm. The journal we found, it's full of details, how she met these men, how she lured them in. She even wrote about how she planned to kill them, and what she felt afterward. The room spins around me, and I grab the arm of the chair, trying to steady myself. This can't be happening. She's not a monster. Foster looks at me with an expression I can't quite read. Sometimes, the people we think we know best are the ones hiding the darkest secrets. I feel a surge of anger at his words. You don't know her like I do. She's not evil. She's not some cold-blooded killer. David, we're not saying this to hurt you, Mark says quietly. We just want you to understand the full picture. Lisa needs help, but she also needs to be held accountable for what she's done. I bury my face in my hands, the weight of everything crushing me. How did I not see it? How could I have been so blind? It's not your fault, Foster says, his voice surprisingly gentle. People like Lisa, they're good at hiding who they really are. They manipulate, they deceive. It's how they get away with it for so long. I shake my head, still unwilling to fully accept it. What happens now? We're building the case against her, Foster explains. But there's something else you need to know. We found evidence that suggests Lisa wasn't working alone. My head snaps up, shock washing over me. What do you mean? Who else is involved? We're not sure yet, Foster admits. But there are messages on her phone, encrypted ones. Conversations with someone who seems to be guiding her, encouraging her. We're trying to trace the source, but it's not easy. My mind races, trying to piece together this new information. Lisa had always been secretive, but I never imagined she could be involved in something like this, let alone with someone else. Do you have any idea who it could be? Mark asks, his eyes locked on mine. Anyone she was close to, someone who might have influenced her. I think back, searching through my memories for any sign, any clue. But nothing stands out. Lisa had always been friendly with everyone, but never particularly close to anyone, or so I thought. I don't know, I say, frustration and fear twisting inside me. She never mentioned anyone like that. Foster nods, his expression thoughtful. We'll keep digging. In the meantime, we need to keep you safe. If Lisa was working with someone, they might come after you. The idea of being in danger hadn't even crossed my mind, but now that it's out there, it lingers like a dark cloud. I don't feel safe in my own home, in the life I've built. What do you want me to do? I ask, feeling helpless. We're going to set up surveillance, Foster says. Keep an eye on you, make sure nothing happens. And if you remember anything at all that could help us, you need to tell us. I nod, though I feel like I'm in a daze. The world I knew is crumbling around me, and I don't know how to hold on. After a few more minutes of discussion, they leave, and I'm alone again. The silence is deafening, the shadows in the house stretching out, filling every corner. I can't stay here, not like this. I grab my keys and head out the door, needing to escape the suffocating confines of the house. I drive aimlessly for a while, not sure where to go, what to do. I end up at a small park, one Lisa and I used to visit when we first moved to the neighborhood. The memories that used to be comforting now feel tainted, like everything else. As I sit on a bench, staring at the playground where children laugh and play, I feel a deep sense of loss. The life I thought I had is gone, and I don't know how to move forward. How do you rebuild when the foundation is shattered? My phone buzzes in my pocket, pulling me out of my thoughts. It's a text from an unknown number. I almost ignore it, but something makes me open it. The message is short, just 3 words, "You're next, David." A chill runs down my spine, my heart pounding in my chest. I look around, suddenly feeling exposed, vulnerable. Who sent this? Who knows where I am? I quickly stand, my mind racing. I need to get out of here, get somewhere safe. But where is safe now? I start walking back to my car, my pace quickening with each step. My mind is a whirlwind of fear and confusion. I need to tell Foster, tell Mark, but the thought of involving them makes it feel too real, too dangerous. As I reach the car, I notice a figure standing in the distance, watching me. It's too far to make out any details, but the sight of them sends a bolt of panic through me. I fumble with my keys, my hands shaking as I unlock the door and jump inside. I don't look back as I speed away from the park, my thoughts a chaotic jumble of fear and paranoia. The text, the figure, nothing makes sense, but it all feels like it's connected to Lisa, to the dark secrets I'm just beginning to uncover. I drive with no destination in mind, just trying to put distance between me and the fear that's creeping up my spine. My phone buzzes again, and I almost don't want to look, but I force myself to check it. Another text, from the same number, "You can't hide." I slam on the brakes, my breathing ragged. This is real. This is happening. And I don't know how to stop it. I pull over to the side of the road, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white. I need to think, need to figure out what to do. But all I can think of is Lisa, of the woman I thought I knew, and the dark, twisted world she's dragged me into. And the terrifying realization that whoever is behind this, they're not done with me yet. The drive back to the house is a blur. My mind is a storm of thoughts and emotions, a maelstrom I can't control. The text messages, the figure at the park, the looming shadow of Lisa's betrayal, it all spirals together into a suffocating knot of fear and anger. The road seems endless, each mile stretching out as if taunting me with the uncertainty of what lies ahead. When I finally pull into the driveway, the house looms over me like a dark omen. The police tape is gone, but the sense of dread remains. I don't want to go inside, but I have no choice. I need answers. I need to understand how everything fell apart. I push open the door and step inside, the silence pressing in on me. I'm greeted by the empty echoes of a life that's slipping through my fingers. Every step I take feels heavy, deliberate, as I make my way through the house. The air is thick with the scent of cleaning chemicals, a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. I reach the living room, and there she is, Lisa, sitting on the couch as if she's been waiting for me. Her hands are free now, the handcuffs gone, but there's something about her posture, the way she holds herself, that feels restrained. Her eyes meet mine, and for a moment, we just stare at each other, the silence between us heavier than any words. "You're out," I say, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. I don't know how to feel, what to think. She nods, her gaze dropping to her hands. They released me, for now. They don't have enough to hold me indefinitely. The room feels too small, the air too thin. I lean against the wall, keeping my distance. Why are you here, Lisa? She looks up, and I see the weariness in her eyes, the lines of stress etched into her face. I needed to see you. To explain. Explain. The word tastes bitter on my tongue. What is there to explain? You've been lying to me, cheating on me, killing people. What could you possibly say to make any of this make sense? She flinches, the words hitting her like a physical blow. David, please, just listen. Listen to what? I snap, the anger bubbling up, hot and vicious. To more lies? More excuses? No. She stands abruptly, taking a step toward me. I need you to understand. It wasn't all me. I freeze, the confusion mixing with the anger. What are you talking about? She hesitates, her hands trembling. The messages you've been getting, the texts, they weren't from me. My heart skips a beat, the cold grip of fear tightening around it. Then who were they from, Lisa? Who's been threatening me? She opens her mouth to speak, but before she can answer, the front door swings open with a loud bang. I spin around, my heart racing, and there he is, Detective Alan Foster, his gun drawn, his face twisted in a mix of determination and something darker, something almost triumphant. Detective? My voice wavers, caught between relief and confusion. What the hell are you doing? Step away from her, David, Foster orders, his voice cold, commanding. She's dangerous. I glance back at Lisa, her face pale, eyes wide with shock. What's going on? Foster's gaze flickers between us, his gun steady. She's been playing you, David. She's not the victim here. She's the mastermind. Lisa's breath catches, and she takes a step back, her hands up defensively. That's not true. David, you have to believe me, he's the one who's been manipulating everything. I look between them, my mind reeling. What are you talking about? Foster's lips curl into a sneer. You really don't see it, do you, David? She's been working with someone. Every move, every murder, it's all been part of a plan. But she made a mistake. She trusted the wrong person. You, Lisa whispers, her voice trembling with fear and realization. You set me up. Foster's eyes flash with a twisted satisfaction. You were too sloppy, Lisa. I saw an opportunity, and I took it. You think you're so clever, so untouchable, but you're not. I've been pulling the strings all along. The room tilts, the world shifting under my feet. You were in on this? You were working with her? No, Foster says, shaking his head. I was watching her. I knew what she was doing, and I used it. I sent those messages, made sure you were right where I needed you to be. Lisa's face crumples, the weight of the betrayal sinking in. You ruined everything. I perfected it, Foster corrects, his voice icy. You were getting sloppy, Lisa. You were going to get caught eventually. I just sped up the process. The anger that's been simmering inside me finally boils over. Why? Why would you do this? Foster's eyes gleam with something almost like pride. Because people like you and Lisa, you think you're so smart, so clever. But you're not. I'm the one who sees everything, who controls everything. I just needed you to see it too. The realization hits me like a freight train. You were going to let me die. Foster shrugs, the motion almost casual. It was part of the plan. But now that you know, well, we'll have to adjust. David, don't listen to him. Lisa's voice is frantic now, desperate. He's been manipulating both of us. I never wanted any of this. Enough, Foster snaps, his gun shifting slightly, his finger tightening on the trigger. You're both coming with me. We're going to finish this. But before he can move, there's a loud crash, and the front window shatters. A flashbang grenade clatters into the room, blinding light and deafening noise filling the space. I drop to the floor, disoriented, my ears ringing, my vision blurred. When the smoke clears, I see them, SWAT officers, guns drawn, surrounding Foster. He's on the ground, his gun kicked away, his hands behind his head. "Clear," one of the officers shouts, and they move in, securing the scene. I'm pulled to my feet, dazed, my heart pounding in my chest. I look over and see Lisa being dragged away by two officers, her face a mix of fear and anger. Foster is cuffed and hauled to his feet, his face twisted in rage. "This isn't over, David," he yells as they lead him away. "This is far from over." I'm left standing in the middle of the chaos, the pieces of the puzzle finally falling into place. Lisa's manipulations, Foster's twisted game, it all comes crashing down, leaving me standing alone in the wreckage. As the officers clear the scene, Mark appears beside me, his face pale, eyes wide with shock. "David, are you okay?" I nod numbly, but the truth is, I'm not. I'm not sure I'll ever be okay again. "What happens now?" Mark hesitates, then shakes his head. "I don't know. But I think this is the end." He's right. There's no going back from this. The life I knew, the love I thought I had, it's all gone, consumed by the darkness that was hiding beneath the surface all along. Lisa is taken away, and I don't look back. There's nothing left for me to see. I know that the woman I loved is gone, replaced by someone I'll never understand. And as I stand there, watching the remnants of my life being dismantled piece by piece, I feel a cold, empty void where my heart used to be. I'll never forgive her. I'll never forgive any of them. The betrayal is too deep, the scars too fresh. And as the sun sets on the house that's no longer my home, I know one thing for certain, I'll never see Lisa again. Not in this life, not in any other. Because some wounds can never heal, and some betrayals can never be forgotten.